guys, it's Adam here again from Nomadic Off-Road Campers, and in today's video we are going to be talking all things awnings and of course the anti-flap kit. Now I'm going to try and do this with one hand because I've got no staff here at the moment because they're all on Christmas holidays, giving me an opportunity to get some videos done, but I'm going to try and do this as informative as I can. This is the way I do it. I don't tend to have any problems. I don't know if it's entirely right, but it just makes life so much easier for when you're out on the road. So what you'll see behind me, we've got an Orca 18. So this is one of our highest vans, so I'll show you how I do it. You will need a step, so otherwise you just physically can't reach up and get it. So a step is pretty, or a small little double ladder is something you will need in this case. I find the little fold down ones from Bunnings, you can get it pretty good. Otherwise, I'm just using a single step today. So let's have a look, shall we? I'm going to try and do this with one hand, but what you can see here, I've got the awning out. It's out about 1.5 meters at the moment. This is a 3-leg awning, so it's the biggest one we do. All the others are a 2-leg. You'll be able to get them out about 1 meter to 1.5 meters under their own weight. Obviously I'm inside, so if it is quite windy and blustery, either don't do it or try and get someone to give you a hand to hold the awning as well, just so that you can take that flex out of it and so it's not going to have any issues. What you've got here, a couple of things I'll point out. Obviously we've got our winder leg, and if I can zoom out a little bit there, so that kicks over on the side and creates a handle like that. Hooks in up top up here. What you'll also see up the top there is, if I can get in there, so you'll see the direction of the awning. So the vinyl loops underneath the main barrel and it goes in an anti-clockwise direction. If you do wind out the awning and you found that you've overextended it, it will actually start rolling around the barrel in a clockwise direction. What that will do is it'll be really, really tough to close it. If it is tough to close it, just stop. That's clearly what you've done. It'll also start twisting the vinyl, but worse that can happen is it'll actually crack the fascia on your vinyl. So make sure it's winding around the barrel in an anti-clockwise direction. For guidance, there is actually the little symbol up there on the arm as well on all our campers. We've got it at that 1.5 meters. You can see here, I'm going to start pulling out the leg. Again, I'm trying to do this one-handed, so please bear with me. I'll pull that one out. So when you get it to this level, if you can look down the barrel of it, make sure it's all out. If the bottom end is still in there and it's not wanting to come down, don't just yank it because you will break that knuckle. And what I normally do, get it out, lower the leg down, put it on a bit of an angle. You'll get used to where your leg is going to sit. So you can see there it's on an angle out, and that'll allow you to put both legs down and continue winding the awning out to its full So our awning is now out. Obviously, being indoors, this makes it easier. But if you are outdoors, this is where you need to get those stakes in the feet. So you've got the pegs that go in the feet. Get it nice and level. If you have got rain or just a shower of rain, just angle it down at one end. I can zoom out a little bit. And also you need to get your ropes on. So I personally rope each leg, so that way they're down in the ground, and use a good quality peg as well. So a rope, guy rope on each end, and then if you need to, you can see the holes are already pre-drilled. We've got the brace poles that come with our vans, so that's those ones there. For the big ones, there's 3. For the smaller vans, there's 2 brace poles, and those spigots go in internally. Leg drops down to obviously give it a bit more bracing as well. Once we've got the ropes and pegs out, we move on to the anti-flap kit. Now, the only reason you need to put the anti-flap kit on is if you're staying somewhere for a little bit longer and you want to put those walls up, and I'll show you how to do that in this video, or if you just want to get that bit more reinforcement, i.e. you are staying in a destination for longer than 24 to 48 hours. If you are just staying overnight, you wouldn't do this all the time. So with the anti-flap kit, we will have gone through, you get 4 of these, so 2 of this leg, 2 of that leg in each van. You can see one's got a brace hook on the end, The other's got the barrel lock on the other end. We've gone and put these together for you to make sure that everything's there, so that all the parts are there. So what I'll do in stages, I will show you how I do it. This is for the forward anti-flap kit, so the forward leg. So what I'll do, what I personally do first up, I take all these off so that I can take the main cover off. And you'll see what I mean when we pull over on the other side. So if I fold this over, you can see there, that's where the vinyl goes through. Doesn't really show you in that video. So you can see there it's two pieces. So by taking all of those locking nuts off, I can then remove that top flap kit, and I'll show you that. Done now, I've taken all of the lock nuts out. I have joined the pole together. It's only loose at the moment because I will need to extend it out a little bit because you will need to make it fit to the awning length. And I've removed those vinyl holders, alrighty? So what essentially this does is when we put the leg into position, I'll try and explain how I'm doing it. When we put the leg into position, I'm only worrying about putting the pole up. I'm not worrying about the vinyl for now. So I'm just worried about getting that pole between the hook up here and the lock nut on the other end. That's all I'm focused on with this. From there, we will have our vinyl in position, and we can actually put these on and clamp them into position so they hold the vinyl down. Then we can lock nut them underneath. It's not going to go anywhere. I find this to be the easiest way to do it. You don't have to slide them up and down. You're literally just clamping them in, giving them a little nudge, and basically that will all lock together. You can hear it just locking in there. That's now locked in. And as I start to tighten it up, the crocodile grip will actually start to clamp down on the vinyl. I have put the pole up. You can see here that we've got the barrel lock is now positioned over the little lock nut in there. I'll show you where that lock nut is so you can see it. So you can see the lock nut just in there. That's what it sits over the top of and holds it in position. And then up the other end, we've got our bracket up here. So we can see up here, it's sitting on the top of that bracket up in there. And what I've done, just to brace it, I've just spread that apart a little bit, so that way it's nice and stiff. That whole awning there is nice and stiff, and we can see our vinyl is still not attached. All right, so what I'll do now is start to clamp them on. So I've got my little ladder. Basically what I'm going to do, I think you can see this in the video, so I'm going to make sure our vinyl is underneath this flap. And as we go on, we can see now everything's in, and that there is all locked in. So what I'm going to do now is just put my locking nuts, so 3 locking nuts, and we're done. If you want to make sure that you're all covered in all your gaps, you can back the vinyl up a little bit, so back the awning off a little bit, but as long as it all starts to lock together, that's all you're wanting. And that physically now won't come apart. So, but the locking nuts will help it all stay together. It's hot in here at the moment, but I can tell you now, I've only been going for about 4 minutes, 5 minutes by myself, trying to do it one-handed. So it is very doable. So you can see here, we've got a gap between the two legs, but we've managed to overlap that with the top fascia. So it's another thing just to look at there. And we're all nice and tight now. We've managed to, I haven't got the lock nuts on this top bracket yet, but I will say it is easier to do the piece that's closest to the van first and then do it that way. Handy little tip for you. With your van, you will get a bag like this. I'll try and, well, I can't really open it there because it's got a tie in on it. So I'll open it up. In here, you have got a draft skirt. You've got two awnings, privacy screen walls, and you've also got your ropes and pegs. Nice little bag, easily packed up. You'll notice that you've got two spleens. I'll just take this one back out. So you've got a thick spleen and a thin spleen. I find it easy just to work with the thinner of the spleens for here. What I've done, I've exposed our sail track so it's nice and clear, it's in the open, and that will run the whole way along. So all I'm gonna do, again, I'm gonna try and do this with one hand, is just thread it through. And easier with two people, obviously, but one person pulling that right to the other end of the van whilst this person is feeding. So you can see there, it goes in pretty easy. As again, I'm doing this with no assistance. So it's just to show you that it can be done. Obviously two people, as I said, makes it a lot easier. All right, we'll get that right to the end. I'll just take the camera down so that I can finish this off for you. All right. When it gets to that second one, we're just going to make sure it goes through the same tracking. As I said, because I've used that inner seam, I can now use this outer seam to help pull it along whilst I'm still feeding it. That's in there. So, we can take that right up. That's our wall on. From here, what we want to try and do when we get it is we'll angle it out. So we're not going to have it straight up and down. We're going to angle it out. So I'll turn that camera around. The end wall of our privacy screen is on, but as I said, we want to angle it out. And what that will do is it'll block off sort of 85 to 95% of that heavy wind and your rain. I'm going to put this one up as well. And obviously it's a privacy screen, so you can literally be blocked away from the world. Caravan parks and even wiki camps and high camps are all getting busier these days, so makes for a little bit more privacy. Okay, so for the next part, we're going to put that big front wall on. You can see here our two spleens. Again, I'm going to put the big spleen to the front. We're only going to be using the small spleen at the back. I'll explain the reason why I'm going to do that. Ignore my back. So what you've got here is we can start to feed it through. So we're going from the front of the van to the back of the van. You can do it also from the other end, but quite easy. And what this allows me to do is use that front spleen as a guide, so I'm not getting it caught up here, so I can feed it and send it at the same time. This is why we use privacy screens and not an annex. This is so simple to do. How good's that? So that wall, what was that, 20 seconds? So that there makes life easy. You're going to want to then put it on an angle. You've got elastic straps here, get the pegs in it. You've got a couple of brace poles you can use. That is going to make, it's going to block out a whole heap of sun, a whole heap of rain, and it's also going to give you that protection to be away from people and be a bit more private. To take it off, it is just something so simple. You can see here, one-handed. That's it, wrap it up, back in the bag, Bob's your uncle. So you've got one end wall, two end walls, a draft skirt, and of course you've got your main front wall. You're not going to put that up all the time, but I can tell you now, that there is about 800% easier than a full canvas awning. There you go.